Hi friends, MD Vegan. Today is my gentle juice fasting day. I do that once a week and it is a part of my lifestyle, of my diet. I do it all the time. That means, because that was my system, my body, my mind works on from day to day. I have all these habits and we all do. In yoga we have a word for that. That is what keeps it all going. That is a certain energy. And that's like gravity, that what keeps things down on earth. You can be lazy if you give in too much, but the positive side is that it keeps things going. You can't be aware of every single thing you do all the time. There's only so much we can focus on that doesn't escape our awareness. Most people, by far the most, have a very limited awareness, and we have to focus on that to function, to work. And the rest is all automatic. How we work, how we breathe, walk, I mean walking, breathing, what we do all day, that is all automatic. The blood, the heart rate, all that is automatic. We don't think about that. We couldn't. And thinking about all that, that would be too much. So that's why this, what we always do, the habits are so important for us to survive. And if we make a small change to that, it can be very difficult. If I try to eat less to lose weight, for example, that can be hard because the next day I eat more again. It's automatic. I have to do that to work, to function. Because we use such a large amount of energy, mobilized all the time with our mind. It's a brilliant organ. We use a lot of energy for that. You don't even know. Most of the energy in the body is used in the mind, in the brain. And so that huge amount of energy, we have to use that wisely. And if we make a small change, that takes a lot of energy. So if I make a video here every day, and I make a small change to that video, let's say I translate now my videos into German or so, as some ask. That takes a lot of energy to do it every day. Everything that I do every day, if I'm going to change that, takes a lot of energy. So that's why I say I introduced the fasting video today with the thinking about what I do all the time, the habits. And I want to make fasting a part of my habit. So I always did that before I knew something about yoga. I always thought about my life as these processes. As soon as I got away from home, I had to live on my own. I thought about how to do that best, because when you're at home, the family does everything. You're just a part of the thing, and it goes all by its way. You can't make big choices. You have to have meal times, and a laundry is at certain times, and groceries, all that, you don't decide that when you're at home. But when you get away from home, all these decisions are on me all of a sudden, and I have to make all these decisions consciously. Oh, what am I doing now? And then I found out the habits. I thought, I want to do mostly habits, things that should be very easily. I want to all my life is made up of habits that are easy, because then I can focus on the things that are really most important to me. When I want to write a test or something, or paint a picture, or make an art or something, or write a poem, or whatever I do is special, I can focus all on that if the rest is all automatic and easy. So that's why I found out about these habits, and now this fasting has become such a habit. And I was able to make it a habit because it is easy, very easy. Before I found this kind of gentle juice fasting, we call that gentle juice fasting. Before I did that, I was fasting with water only for longer periods of time, as everybody did, because that's what I heard and what I learned. So I tried the same. My yoga school, they also said that do many days and that's better, and so I tried that too, and it always was a struggle, a fight. It was never a habit. It became a habit because I was very disciplined, but it was a fight always. And since I do the gentle juice fasting only one day a week, it has become easy. It's so much fun. I don't need to prepare big time. I have some apples at home, some pears, some oranges, some greens always. I can quickly make a juice anytime, it's very easy, every aspect of it. And when I break the fast tomorrow, usually I have only one day, I have to be a little bit aware that I don't overeat, because when you reduce the calories on one day, the next day automatically the body wants to get it back, more calories, but I don't need that many calories. Yeah. So, but I will overeat. I will try to overeat. I have to be a little bit aware about that. Yeah, just watch your. You had a second apple, and I don't need a second apple. One apple is enough. I want to eat a second apple because I'm just used to it. Get more calories. No, just don't. Just put the apple away. Just eat one apple enough. That's so easy now. When I was fasting really hardcore fasting, 4 days, 8 days, 12 days, with water only, breaking the fast after that is a business for itself. Yeah. So gentle juice fasting is easy, and it can even be done by everyone, if you are healthy. And that's the thing, if you are only focused on yourself, yeah, usually we are focused on ourselves, you want to get something done, then have a whole different awareness, as if I think about others too all the time, automatically. Yeah. For example, what kind of fasting do I do? Yeah. I want to have it easy for myself. Yeah. So I did gentle juice fasting. But the thing with gentle juice fasting is, it is not only easy for me, it is easy for everybody. So this perspective, what can everybody do? So the ethical question, what is good for everybody? It's a whole different question than only asking is it good for me, is easy for me. And I found that always, also before I was in yoga, I found this question always very interesting. So when I do something, could everybody do it? What would my best friends, what would they say about it? What would they do? Or my teachers, what would they say? I always had these kind of questions in my mind, and I talked to my friends and at school and the other people. They never had these questions. They always said, "Oh, why don't worry that there's so much? Why do you think about what your friend would say, what your teacher would say? Just be yourself, do what you want." Yeah, and of course I get it. They are right too. Yeah, I think too much. Yeah, that's right. But in a way, it has something to it. It has something to it. If I do these kind of research, self-reflection, self-exploration, it has something to it, because on a fasting day, like today, it is like a cleansing of the mind too. Not only the body, that I get rid of the toxins, it's also the mind. I wonder, is there something that is always in the back of my mind, and I already forgot about it, but it's still there, nagging and making me a little bit unquiet, uncomfortable. I don't even notice anymore, these kind of things, and they come up, these thoughts and these feelings, and I find if I go a little bit deeper, I scratch beyond the surface, below the surface, I get a little bit of these things that I'm hidden a little bit deeper than I do be on a regular day, with all the habits going and so. And that is important to make this research a little bit, because oftentimes the things that don't go right, that you get wrong always, all the time, go a little bit deeper and dig it out, and then something changes. And that's also why I'm doing yoga. Since I'm doing yoga, it fits completely into my lifestyle, because yoga is a systematic approach to all the aspects of life. How I eat, how I behave with others and to myself, compassionate lifestyle, non-violent lifestyle, and how I move the body, moving in all directions. For example, the spine can move in 6 directions. Back, forth, left, right, and circle both sides. 6. And all the body parts can move in 6 directions. I didn't know that before, but if I do that every day, moving all the directions I can, I make sure, and all the muscles I have, and so systematically, I make sure our body is healthy all the time. And if there's something hidden that is not healthy, I find out soon. Eventually, I do it every day. That's the idea of systematic approach. And in science, science is based on that. Whole science is systematic. It wouldn't make sense without systematic approach. System is to look at a universe from one point in the universe. You look at everything from one single point. Yeah? That is a systematic approach. Yeah? For example, on a fasting day, I say, let's systematically cleanse myself, my body. Yeah? Then the systematic approach is everything has to be looked through with regard to cleansing. Yeah? Systematically cleansing. Cleanse everything. That is a systematic approach, for example, yeah, and so forth. Yeah, that is how science works. But that's basically how our life, our day-to-day life, how that works. So now I have talked enough about fasting and why I do it, how it is part of my life, my day-to-day life, and why it is important to make that easy to me. Yeah, because everybody can do it, and if you are not sick, then you have to see a doctor, of course, a medical professional. To help you to understand if you can fast without harming yourself, because when you're healthy and you only fast one day, you can't harm yourself. There's no problem at all for a healthy person to refrain from eating for one day. But when you do 2 days or 3 days, then the harm can already happen. So one day are really safe. That medical science says that there's no problem. If you're healthy, you feel great, one day, no problem. But did I do it right? Of course. And when I have these wonderful juices, I make a juice fasting, then there's also something really to enjoy with the senses, to drink something, to get energy. Yeah? That makes it a little bit easier. So you're very safe with the gentle juice fasting. And everybody can do it. And it's so important to do that, reboot the system once a week, and as part of the regular diet. Let me give you an example with the thinking. I studied philosophy that a long time ago, and they learned thinking, you could say. But no philosopher thinks about not thinking. They seem to have thinking in our school, in the West. They all seem to be sure, we have to learn thinking, or we know already thinking, but we have to do it right. Yeah. That's the idea. How can we think right? What can we do? How can we do that? But I found that nobody really wondered how not to think. When I wrote an introduction to philosophy with our students, I began it different. I said, hey, when you want to learn to think, at first you have to understand when to think and when not to think. So what's the difference? What is the idea of thinking based on not thinking? And then nobody understood at first. Yeah, but that's an example for eating. How to eat, you have to understand how not to eat. So the same idea, very simple philosophical approach, but maybe not so usual. I found it's a little bit unusual, but nevertheless, I found through self-reflection and that is the right approach. So yeah, that's an example. So now I make a juice to enjoy my fasting day, to make it a delight. And today I have a kale juice, a juice with the greens. That is a fascinating green. So greens in the first place are our healthiest food, officially. Western medical science says greens are, dark leafy greens are our healthiest foods. And kale now is the green with the most nutrient density. So you won't find another green that has more nutrients in the same calories. Nothing is like kale. It's huge, as compared to others. Nothing is like kale. So it's very exciting to have kale. And it is funny. I did a little bit of research about kale, because in Germany usually we have kale only in winter time. And in America, when I was in America, in the USA, they have kale all over the year. All the raw food people, they always have kale. And I thought, why don't we have no kale only in winter? And then the farmers at the market, they told me, yes, because kale grows all over the year. It takes, in spring, you plant your kale and then it grows through the summer, and in winter and it gets ripe. You can harvest. And if you harvest it too early, the kale is bitter. You have to wait for the first frost. And after that, the kale gets sweet. It's full of nutrients. That's why you only get it in winter. But after some time, some years later, I found out, oh, there's some health food shops, they begin to sell kale all over the year. So there must be a way to get the kale also, and there is a way. You can plant it earlier, and then you have the kale also all over the year. So that begins slowly, so I'm confident. But now, winter time's coming, we have kale very, very easily available here, and I make a kale juice. I did some kale juices before. The first thing is, when you want to juice kale, you need a special juicer. This is a slow juicer. Yeah? A fast juicer, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't go through. You couldn't get the juice out of it. You need a slow juicer, masticating juicer to make a kale juice. That has to be set. Or you can use a blender and you blend the kale with other foods and then you filter it. You can do that too. Yeah, but that is a lot of work. The juicer is really recommended because I do the juicing once a week, so I always need my juicer. So finally I got one after many years. But if you don't have a juicer, you can help yourself with a blender, for example. But I would recommend to get a juicer at some point. Yeah? And for the green juices, you can use a slow juicer. And they are better available now. They have more variety about that. So the kale juice is one thing, but the problem is with kale juice and green juice in general, they are a little bitter. You can't just juice a green and drink it. If you can, of course, physically, but most people wouldn't like it. It doesn't taste well. So to do the greens in a nice juice, you have to have a fruit, sweet and sour fruit to it. Yeah. Here I take pears and apples today. I did that before. I made a kale juice with apples and pears. Once with apples, once with pears, once apple and pears. And I found that it is really nice to make a kale juice with pears and apples because the apple is very sympathetic to the kale. Somehow it fits perfectly. But sometimes it can be that the apple is a little bit sour and the whole juice is could be a little bit sweeter if you like that. And for that the pear comes into the play. The pear is perfectly in my view, in my taste, to combine with the apple to make a kale juice. So kale, pear and apple together is wonderful. And for the amount, usually have the same amount of greens and fruit as a rule of thumb. But if you want to have more fruit, you have the juice a little bit sweeter, a bit lighter. If you want to have more greens, gets a little bit more intense, stronger juice. That's up to you. I say 1:1, same ratio about, and that's my way. But in addition to the apple and the pear, I add a lemon and a ginger. I didn't do that before. I tried that now new. It's a very simple addition. Lemon and ginger is a dream team for many recipes. It enhances the flavor of the other ingredients. It doesn't add a new flavor so much. It rather enhances the other flavors. And there's a nice thing. The lemon does that with the antioxidant capacity of the sour that brings forth the sugars, for example, in the pear and the apple brings it forth, and in the kale, this sour flavor, it balances the bitter flavors a little bit from the greens. That's how the lemon does it, and the ginger is rather a different story. It is sharp, it's a hot flavor, and that also balances sweet flavors and bitter flavors. You can use hot flavor to balance bitter flavors. Yeah, that's also possible. But it gets always stronger and stronger. And what it also does, the ginger is a wonderful spice, a seasoning. It's very unique because it enhances the other nutrients in the food that you also eat with the ginger. You get more nutrients and they are more effective with ginger. Ginger boosts the energy of the other foods. It's an amazing, amazing seasoning, and it can be used in many, many recipes, many ways. So lemon and ginger, I add them to my juice. Maybe I use some peel of a lemon. Maybe I will not use too much today because I have the kale and it can be a little bit bitter. And if I add a peel to a green, I have to be very careful because when it's too bitter with too much peel, it's very intense, it can be too much. So come back in a moment and show you my juice and then I'll taste it for you. Here, that's my green juice today. And it's almost a liter. And it looks pretty nice. It had a light green color. It's, you see that? And it's a nice color, I think. I like that color. I didn't put any beets in or so other colors. I want to keep it strictly green. And the apples and the pears, they don't add another color. Basically the same color. Lighter a little bit, and it's a little bit creamy. It's a little bit of thick juice. See when I stir it a little bit, it is a little bit creamy. That's normal for a kale juice. Yeah? The masticating juices, the slow juicers, they get a lot of juice out of the vegetables and the fruit, and the greens and the pears together are really thick, creamy. So you just juice an orange or so, you have a light orange juice. That's different with pears. Apples can also be creamy juices. And the kale also gets very dense a little bit. But that's nice, I like that. It's a very nutritious juice, highly nutritious, as I said before. What you leave out of the vegetables and the fruit when you juice, that is the fiber, that what cannot be digested. That's this here. This is the fiber, basically. Yeah, it's not much here. You see, I have a lot of kale and a lot of apples and pears, about maybe 3-4 cups each, or maybe 2 cups apples and 4 cups kale or so. So they have 1 to 1, and that's all that remains. You know, usually depends on the products you choose. Sometimes you have a lot of Trester, that's called Trester pulp, sometimes a small amount like here from the greens. So that is the fiber that you take out of the produce, and the fiber is that what makes the intestine work, the digestion. And usually on a day when I eat, most of the energy from the food goes into digestion, 60% or so, and the rest is for my disposal. On a fasting day, I do not digest. Digestion rests. That gives me the break. Yeah, I don't eat, I don't digest. I just take juices in and liquids, and so no digestion takes place basically, and all the energy is in the system for my pleasure. Yeah, to cleanse. That's maybe some not so pleasure, but it is necessary, and also self-reflection. Yeah, and creativity. When I make a juice, for example, I'm creative. I feel more. I can taste the ingredients, yeah, enjoy them more. And the fiber is what makes it possible to have digestion rest. I take the fiber away. Yeah. On a regular day when I eat, the fiber is among the most important things for me to eat, because without the fiber, the food is not considered healthy. So we know now by science that a healthy diet is a whole food, plant-based diet. And whole food means with the fiber. Take the fiber away, no more whole food, not healthy. Digestion has a struggle. Yeah. Yeah. So in order to work perfectly for the intestines, you need fiber. And on a fasting day, that is a different story. The whole metabolism, how we gain energy from the food, that kind of mechanism is changing on a fasting day. But that's another story for another video. For today, I just talked about the habits, yeah, regular diet, non-violent lifestyle, and these kind of things. Now my juice is ready. I want to taste it now. It looks very nice to me, beautiful color. And let's see what it tastes like. I used only half of the lemon peel, yeah, maybe 2/3, not all of it, because I thought it might be a very strong flavor because of the greens. They're very strong with kale. So let's see. Oh yeah, very strong, but delicious. If I used less apple than pears, this intensity gets stronger and stronger, up to the point where it turns into too much. It's very much to the habits and the liking of a person, if they like more or less fruit in a green juice, I would say. I found people that usually take more of a lemon peel, of friendly chefs, they are my friends, and so they have a different flavor. They take a little more bitter into the food. And when I tried the recipes of them, I liked them. Yeah, and sometimes I feel inspired to make it more bitter, more of the power, sometimes a little less, because that's really up to you. Both ways, always good, yeah, you decide. But I always try to make the recipes for my friends and for the people I cook for. I consider myself a chef for others. Yeah, I try to do things so that others can like it too. So I try to find a middle way a little bit, also for myself. Yeah, don't want to be too extreme. Stay in the middle ground a little bit. Be reasonable, you know, common sense, and so these kind of things. So I show you now the juice, what it looks like. It has an amazing flavor. I really can't taste it only when I get the whole thing down, you know. That's what it looks like. It's creamy. It's a beautiful color. Isn't that beautiful? Really nice, beautiful color, I would say. A beautiful green, grass green, broken green, not a brilliant green. It's a little broken, more white in it from the pear and the apple. And I can only taste that really when I really drink it everything, because it takes maybe some time to drink all that liter green juice here, because as I said, when I don't digest the food, the nutrients and the sugar goes into the blood right away. If I wash it down, it's a boost of energy all of a sudden, and I maybe feel dizzy even. So it's not good. There are many side effects if you have the nutrients too fast in the blood. Sugar spikes, they call it inside, and all these kind of things. I don't want that. So drink it slowly, take some time, and then slowly the nutrients go into the system everywhere. I'm fasting there, I'm very aware of that. I feel that more intensely, more consciously. And then I know what these nutrients, what these plants do to me. What do the greens do to me? The apples, the pears, the lemon, the ginger. Yeah, what are these playing together in my system? And only then, after that, after having completed that juice, drank it, enjoyed it, yeah, then I can tell what it's like. And you can be sure if I give that video, you can be sure I liked it. That's the very least I can say. If you like it, up to you. I would like to hear about it. Let me know if you like that juice, if you want to try it, or if you like my video, feel inspired by my thoughts or whatever. I'd be very glad to have a little conversation. And on YouTube, my channel MD Vegan, you can subscribe, get a new recipe every single day. And you like that video, you put the like button. I would be very glad if you like it. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. And if you have more interest in the juice fasting, you can also go to a Facebook group that's called Tree Yoga Moon Fasting. Tree Yoga is the yoga style I'm talking about all the time. And Tree Yoga is, the flow comes from Tree Yoga. Yogini Kaliji was inspired, was enlightened with a special energy, and she brought yoga flow into the yoga world. And veganism, that was her very much, very important for her to tell everybody about that. And yeah, it worked, yeah. It's a very strong influence from her. Interesting, most people don't even know, but in another video I'll talk about that also. No, the idea is the flow. The flow is that what brings, comes into yoga with Tree Yoga, with Yogini Kaiji. The Tree Yoga flow is that what inspires all this, what I'm doing. And that's why the Facebook page is called Tree Yoga Moon Fasting, because the Gentle Juicefasting comes from Tree Yoga and from the non-violent lifestyle, the Ahimsa lifestyle, from that yoga style. That's why you can find it there also. My juice recipes always go there also. And there's also a calendar for the fasting days, the moon fasting days. True Yoga Moon Fasting is the name of that site, and yeah, you find more specifics there. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you soon.